Hello, welcome to Being Humans, We're Better Together. My name is Ian Christopher Wendt. In this episode, we continue our discussion of consciousness, awareness, and agency. Our topic today in this brief episode is about the intersection between past, present, and future, and consciousness, meaning, and purpose. I'd like to help you recognize that meaning and purpose are operational forms of consciousness. Let's begin with meaning. Meaning is understanding or interpretation of the past. It is often a shared understanding or interpretation of the past. We develop meaning when we look back at patterns in our lives and remember and consider, how have we behaved? What has worked? What hasn't worked? And which kinds of actions have proved most useful and meaningful? Which kinds of activities have proven harmful or traumatic, which we want to change or avoid or protect ourselves from going forward? Meaning operates backward in time. People often misunderstand meaning stories or myths or spiritual narratives. They often recognize that such myths or stories don't make complete sense when told forward in time in the present, and especially when removed from their original context. For example, it's common for people to dissect myths from the book of Genesis, for example, within the frame or context of scientific or rational present perspectives. Another way of dissecting these meaning stories is by applying reason or rationality to stories that in the past were meant to construct meaning or purpose for a community. In their original context, they were sensible, purposeful, and meaningful to the people who shared those stories. We, in our current perspectives, or culture, or context, often really don't understand the meaning of their story. But rejecting meaning in the past is a form of isolation. It's a form of nihilism, or rejecting meaning. Meaning is narrative, order, connectivity. It is often a construction of wholeness, putting the pieces together to show how all the parts fit, putting a community together to show how all the parts fit. We, in our present perspective, looking back at very old stories, often only see portions of the story, or we have values that really are divergent from the values and social organization of the people for whom that story was constructed, put together, and meaningful. History, as a discipline, recognizes the relationships between stories and meaning. The reality of the past is gone. Historians know this. All we have is bits and pieces of evidence. In terms of archaeological evidence, we have ruins, we have garbage, we have burial objects, only fragments of the past. In terms of historical accounts, we have only fragmentary bits of what's left over. If there was a car accident down the street from you today, there would probably be 4 or 5 different accounts of what happened right there at that moment. Even people who had cameras might observe different things happening in that moment. Well, when we look back at the past, we really have fragmentary observations based on very limited accounts. We piece those things together in order to put together meaning for ourselves, which we then interpret for our present moment. History that denies this is just silly. We all make truth claims and interpret the meaning and make arguments about the past. This is essential to the method and discipline of history. Let's talk about purpose. Purpose is constructed for the future. Purpose is about goals. It's about orientation. It's about what we want to happen. So we develop plans, mission, goals, direction for our present work. We develop prescriptions for ourselves, our community, and society. It's about determining a direction for our actions, goals, and behaviors. Agency, will or free will or liberty, is how we act on our consciousness now in the present. Here's a sort of diagram that describes what I'm thinking about. Consciousness overarches all of this, our past, our present, our future. It encompasses meaning, agency, and purpose. I just share this because this is a useful way of recognizing how these concepts of consciousness, meaning, purpose, past, future, present, interact together with one another in a useful way. Let's take a moment to consider the present. The concept of presentness is powerful. You are here now. This is a statement of fact that is always true. You are now here. You have never been, nor ever will be anywhere but here and now. We'll explore the usefulness and power of this concept of presentness further in other contexts, but I want to emphasize it today in the context of agency and action. You cannot change the past. You cannot act in the future. Now is the moment of choice, of action, of change. Do you ever find yourself stuck in the past, tied up in emotional knots over regrets, conflicts, disappointments, guilt, anger over the past? If those feelings move you to make better decisions now, then let them work in you. Turn back to the present and act better. I think Jesus said this best when he said, "Go and sin no more." In other words, move on and do better. He didn't tell people to stew in their guilt. He told them to go and do better. Do you find yourself anxious about things that may come tomorrow or in some unforeseen future? Do stress or anxiety about things that may happen freeze you up? You're not alone. Do you find yourself dreaming about a future that you're not building with your actions now? That's not unique either. These are common human behaviors. But those feelings, those regrets, stresses, daydreams, anxieties, those distractions don't materially help you here and now. I find that presentness helps me a lot when I'm stuck. When I realize that I'm hiding from things that are bothering me or worrying me, when I turn my awareness to the present, to my current situation, to my current place, to the people who are immediately around me, then I usually realize several things. First, things aren't as bad as I was worrying about in my head, either past or future. I've survived past difficulties many times. They haven't killed me, ruined me, or destroyed my relationships. When I return to the present, I find that I'm okay. My loved ones are okay. We have options and opportunities. I can act now. I can work now. I can apply my energy usefully now to make my situation better. In summary, I hope that we can all recognize the value of meaning and purpose. We use meaning to characterize and describe our past, to put together the pieces from the disparate memories that we have. We help to construct our communities, to bind them together, to unify them with stories about meaning. People did this anciently. We still do this today. It's useful. Purpose is for the future. Purpose is our goal. It directs us usefully. It helps us to determine our direction. It helps us to cooperate with other people and to develop shared goals, shared purposes and plans together in time. But we must act now in the present. Presentness is a very powerful way of reorienting ourselves when we find ourselves lost, anxious, daydreaming, regretful, hiding. If these ideas are useful to you now in the present, please act on them. Reach out to the people you care about. Work together, cooperate, share together. Please also join our community. Share, like, comment, subscribe, join. Amen, amen. This is the way. of being humans together.